The snow came down in silken sheets, silent and ceaseless, blanketing the icy plains of Andari's V. The cold was bone-deep here, the kind that silenced breath and slowed heartbeats. On a small ridge, barely shielded by the jagged rocks of a collapsed temple, a lone figure trembled under layers too thin to fight the frost. Princess Lysara shivered violently, her skin a pale lavender hue, almost indistinguishable from the snow around her. Her once regal robe was torn and stained, her silver hair matted with sleet. She pressed her knees to her chest and stared numbly at the ground. Her lungs burned with every breath, and yet she refused to cry. Not anymore. She had already shed her tears the moment the ship had abandoned her. "Mother," she whispered bitterly. "No. Not mother. Never mother." The memory sliced through her like ice. 3 days ago, she had stood in the royal palace of Caelatrin, home of the Skyborn, the ruling caste of her planet. Her father, the noble King Thaler, had died in battle, defending their system from the Jarnek's incursion. His passing had left Lysara the sole heir to the throne. But power had a scent, one her stepmother, Queen Selvara, could never resist. "You are too young, too naive to rule," Selvara had said, her emerald eyes cold and unblinking. "And too soft-hearted. The Skyborn needs strength, not sentiment." Before Lysara could protest, she was seized by palace guards, injected with a tranquilizer, and loaded onto a stealth ship. Her stepmother's voice had echoed one last time in her mind. "You will disappear, dear Lysara, and no one will mourn you." Now, stranded on a frozen wasteland with no provisions, no signal beacon, and no hope, the once princess of the stars was left to die alone. Miles away, within the narrow confines of an Earth-made exploration vessel, a human's voice crackled through a comm link. "Commander Kale Morin, we've picked up something. Weak signal, low frequency, definitely not natural." Kale narrowed his eyes, brushing a hand through his short dark hair. "Source: Southern Quadrant, near the ruins of the Zelvan spires." Kale clicked his tongue. He'd spent the last 4 months mapping the alien moons around the system's outer edge. Most were dead, barren, much like this one. But signals didn't just manifest from rocks. "I'll check it out," he said, grabbing his thermal gear. The skies above Andari's V turned darker with each passing hour. Lysara had lost track of time. Her limbs were growing sluggish, the line between dreams and waking blurring dangerously. She thought she saw a light, golden and hazy, cutting through the snowfall. Another illusion. She closed her eyes. Then a voice. Deep, warm voice. Hey, are you alive?" Her eyes fluttered open, her vision filled with a blurry figure kneeling beside her. She tried to speak, but her lips barely moved. A heated blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Strong arms lifted her. "You're going to be okay," the voice said. "I've got you." The warmth seeped through her frozen body, like a flicker of fire returning to a long-dead hearth. Lysara woke to unfamiliar surroundings. She was inside a small cabin, its walls lined with metal and humming with quiet energy. The air was warm, rich with the scent of something earthy. "Coffee?" She tried to sit up, wincing. "Easy now," the same voice said, appearing beside her. "You've got frostbite on your fingers, and you were dehydrated." He handed her a warm liquid in a metal cup. She stared at him. He wasn't like any creature she knew. His skin was a warm tan, his eyes brown like soil after rain. Human. She remembered studying them during her lessons, but she'd never seen one in person. "You saved me," she said, her voice hoarse. He smiled faintly. "Let's say I had good timing." "I am." "Lysara." Kale Morin, he replied. Explorer. From Earth. She hesitated, then asked, Why would you help someone you don't know? Kale raised an eyebrow. Because that's what we do. At least some of us. Over the next few days, Lysara regained her strength, and something else began to bloom. Conversation, laughter, even music played through Kale's old Earth devices. She told him about the Skyborn, her father, the betrayal. Kale listened without judgment. I wasn't strong enough to fight back, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. No, Kale said, looking her dead in the eye. You were strong enough to survive. There's a difference. She blinked away sudden tears. Each morning, Kale showed her how to operate the navigation systems, how to patch circuits, how to decode ancient alien transmissions. Each night, they sat under the clear dome of the observation deck, watching the swirling galaxies beyond. She was no longer a princess in name, but she was learning what it meant to stand on her own. One evening, Kale returned from a supply run with news. Got a transmission from Galatron. Your stepmother's coronation is scheduled for next solstice. No mention of you. Officially, they're saying you died in a shuttle crash. Lysara's face went pale. She's consolidating power. The council believes her lies. Kale tilted his head. Do you want to stop her? Lysara hesitated, heart pounding. The old her, frightened, powerless, would have shrunk from the idea. But not now. Yes, she said firmly. But not to take back the throne. I want the truth exposed. Kale grinned. Then let's make some noise. The plan was reckless. Using Kale's long-range transmitter, they created a forged signal, a live feed showing Lysara alive and addressing the people of Galatron. In the background, Kale adjusted the filters to simulate the royal chamber. People of the Skyborn, she said, standing tall in borrowed armor. I am Lysara, daughter of King Thaler. You've been lied to. I was betrayed, exiled by Queen Selvaera to die in the void. But I survived. The feed was intercepted almost immediately. Within an hour, the transmission was being shared across networks, across systems. And within a day, Selvaera's grip began to crack. Rebellions flared across outposts loyal to Thaler. Skyborn elders demanded an inquiry. The royal guard splintered in loyalty. Selvaera's lies were unraveling. But they didn't expect what came next. A bounty ship arrived on Andari's V 2 nights later. Not Selvaera's, worse. A mercenary vessel armed to the teeth. They'd tracked the signal. Selvaera's price for Lysara's death was too great to resist. Kale and Lysara barely had time to board his ship, the starbound Echo, and launch skyward. The bounty ship followed close, firing energy blasts that rocked their hull. I'll try to outmaneuver, Kale began, but Lysara was already at the weapons console. I've got this, she said. He stared. You sure? She met his eyes. I survived an ice moon. I can handle this. She targeted the ship's engines, fired 2 pulses, and sent the bounty vessel spiraling out of control into the icy atmosphere. Kale let out a whistle. Remind me never to get on your bad side. By the time they reached Galatron, the tide had turned. Lysara's supporters met them at the royal hangar. Selvaera was already in custody, stripped of her rank. I underestimated you, the former queen hissed as she was led away. No, Lysara said coldly. You just didn't understand what makes someone strong. A week later, Lysara stood on the dais of the royal chamber. She wore no crown. Instead, she held a simple blade, her father's. I will not rule as queen, she announced. But I will rebuild what was broken. With honesty. With allies beyond our stars.